honey. Hello. Welcome to the Business Plugs Mixer. Hi, my name is Linda Murray Bullard. They call me the Business Plug. And today I am plugging you into working remotely. That's what we're talking about today. But before I get there, let me tell you two things I need to do my housekeeping. So let me tell you the two things I need to talk about. I need to talk about if your business, if you're women on, if you're disabled, veteran, if you're a minority, then your business needs to be certified. So we're helping people become certified. That information is in the discussion of wherever you're watching this video. In addition to that, I need to talk about September the 16th at 2 o'clock p.m., where my girl Patrice Malloy and I are going to help businesses get ready to get funded. So if your business is needing funding, we're going to help you get your business in shape so that you are attractive to investors, funders, and those people who want to partner with you in what you're doing. So that information is in the link as well. So my name is Linda Murray Bullard. You can go to getthebusiness.org. I had to think about it. Getthebusiness.org in order to reach me. With all that done, that's the housekeeping stuff. I want to welcome KEBA. Hey, KEBA.
Hey,
So, hey, KEBA.
how
So
are
tell
you?
them about the remote work strategist. Tell them about KEBA.
So, hey everyone, my name is Kiba. I'm the remote work strategist.
Yes.
I am based here in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm originally from Mississippi. I got started working remotely. I know everyone working remotely is the thing now, but I got started working remotely before it was a thing. So I've
Oh,
been working remotely since 2014.
mm.
Got started as a 1099 contractor. That following year, 2015, I started my own virtual call center,
Wow.
all while building that. And fast forward 3 years ago, I started working remotely as a W-2 employee as well. Pandemic, my main job, my main career had us remote as well. So I've been working remotely for the past um, 8 years as 1099 contractor and as W-2 employee.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And so your business model is interesting because right now, a lot of businesses are calling their employees back into work. And that's controversial, right? Because people are like, well, go back. I like working from home. And the numbers show that people work well remotely, right?
Definitely. The numbers have shown that since pandemic, since they started measuring it, um, pandemic and post-pandemic, since they started measuring, the numbers have shown more productivity with them being home. But yes, I've been reading, everyone has been seeing the headlines lately, the articles, the social media headlines where there's certain big name companies that have been making it mandatory that workers return back to the office, either full time or hybrid model. And with
Mm.
the hybrid model, of course, it would be split a couple of days in the office and a couple of days at home. So, yes.
Yeah, because they're paying all this real estate. They're paying for all these lights and water and stuff, and nobody.
See, that's it, Linda.
I know.
That is it. I had a conversation on one of my social medias on my TikTok where people were there's so many speculations around why. And a
Mhm.
lot of it is being focused on trying to say people aren't productive at home. There's
Mm.
no productivity at home. But we all know once you pull back the curtains and you really look, it is money. When we sit at a certain level, we can only see so much.
Right.
Once you when you read into the boring stuff and you get into the boring stuff, the certain
Data.
once you read those types of things, you realize, like you said, it's money, it's real estate, it's the
Absolutely.
commercial buildings that are sitting empty, no one is occupying them, and it's hitting some big pockets.
Absolutely. And commercial real estate is not the most inexpensive thing to do, right? And so they have these buildings with no one in them, and they're like, no. We're paying for real estate, so we need to get our people to get back in these offices.
Yeah.
Me at the cost of productivity, right? And so you have to think about Okay, so how important really is productivity? Because I worked in corporate America. We had what was called the Pride program, right? It was a performance indicator. And so, in order to keep the job, you had to keep your pride rate like 97% or higher. So I know productivity standards, are based on, but then even in that space, you have people talking to you all day. You have people coming to see you. Like you have a lot of interruptions when you're
Yeah,
in the office. And so trying to achieve those numbers was difficult for a lot
yeah.
of people, especially people who were social butterflies. Like,
That is, you know what? That there was a joke around our office when we first came home. You do have those certain ones when you see them coming, when you see them creeping around the corner, they coming to find out this week's tea. And so there are distractions, but I can honestly say, working with people, working with helping people find remote jobs and helping people over the past, like I said, from 2013, there is some accountability that needs to be taken on
yeah.
some of the people's parts. And especially we saw it all over TikTok the past 2 years, where they have these laptops and they're at the nail shop and they're at Target, they're at Starbucks. And, I think some people really put it in their heads like, oh, okay, I
Oh,
want a remote job. But one of the things I do as a remote work strategist, and I'm very strategic, and that's why gave myself that title as the remote
mhm.
work strategist, is because the first thing I do when people come to me, I ask some hard questions, and that's one thing about me professionally and personally. I ask some tough questions, and it's like, okay, are you self-disciplined? Do you
Mm,
have the self-motivation and the self-discipline to be able to be productive?
yeah.
Because at the end of the day, even though productivity may not, like you just said, when we were in the office, we would probably stand around and talk and gossip and
Mhm,
walk to the
mhm.
break room and have sessions. So how was the production measured versus in office? Now you're saying so I get that, but I have seen some situations where people need, some accountability taken.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And so the onus becomes on the company, to me, to put those metrics in place and put things that support those metrics, right? And so I don't have a problem with my employee. Like I managed an area, had 73 employees, and I didn't have a problem with my employee taking their laptop and sitting on the beach, right?
Exactly.
Because
Hmm.
as long as they were meeting their metrics, I'm
Yes,
good. You can go
yes,
to the moon. We good.
yes.
As
Oh,
long,
definitely.
that was my thing when I was managing people. It was, I just show you where I need you to be. Now, how
Hmm.
you get there, that's on you. But
Definitely.
if you're going to work it from home, you still have to have some level of accountability.
Hmm.
And so these companies that are hiring work at home workers, like they may not care that you're at Target, right? They may not care,
Exactly.
but they do care about your productivity.
Exactly. And it's a really thin line. And it also depends on the type of remote job that you're looking
Mm,
for. Because, I have people come to me and, they're like, I just want anything. But don't say you just want anything, because jobs along the line of customer service or call center,
mm,
those are going to be really tight with the metrics. But if you have another job on the other hand where you're tech, or you're in some other field where it's more lax,
yeah,
then your employer is like, okay, just have this in by the end of the week or
right,
by the
right,
end of the month. And
right.
that way you have the freedom and the flexibility. So,
Absolutely. And even with that, your log in, log out time is
okay,
measured. Because
yes,
I'm a data analyst. So when you talk about them numbers, we were talking about those
oh,
numbers,
yeah,
the hard, the boring stuff. I used to churn out those reports. I
yes,
used to churn,
yes,
I'm a data analyst by trade. But the thing about it, because I know, like the company I worked at once, where we were starting to send our customer service workers home. And hey Shamil Jackson's joined.
hey,
We were just talking about you, but so the company that I worked for we were just starting to seeing customer service people home, and they were measuring this versus that, making sure they answer the same number of calls or more, making
Yes.
sure that, their whole time they were, like those metrics had to be met, right? And
Whole
so,
time. And I have a client, has been in customer service for a while. She says now they have a time where you need to have the customer off the phone. And
absolutely,
yeah,
because
like
in
she's
order
a talkative person, and she said they were like,
no,
no,
no, yeah, yeah. Number of calls, absolutely. Number of calls, number of calls. Oh, we were doing it offline, Shamia. We were talking offline. We were talking about you. We were talking about all the people because we met. We are graduates of Cornell University's women's entrepreneurship. All of us, Shamia, me, and you as well. And
yes,
so, Kiva, so we are sisterhoods in from Cornell University, right?
yes,
And
yes,
I love that. I love that. So yeah, but number of calls answered is a metric because
mhm,
if they want you to have a goal, a target goal of 65 calls a day or 35 calls a day or whatever that is, then they tell you can't spend but X number of minutes on a call.
yes,
And I think it's measured in seconds and then they round it to minutes, but
yes,
you can't be on the phone talking to and some people are alone, and it's easier to manage when you have a when you are not working with an elderly crowd, right?
right.
Because when you're working with the elderly, they want to talk, they because
Well,
you're
hey,
probably
I'm not elderly. Look, I can get a little talkative too, especially if you have the type of personality where you're a people
exactly,
person and
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
so
but I know specifically the elderly population, like, when you're kind and you're nice and they want to
yes,
tell you about their families and they
yes,
want to tell you, and you're probably the only call they've had that day. And so they're
that,
trying to make a connection. And so if you're working with that population, there's an additional
yes,
there's an additional time that you're going to need in order to make sure that you're not rushing them off the phone because they'll get upset with you if you push it, and
yes.
so yeah, but
You
yeah, I'm talking
definitely
to you
need to have that mix of soft skills where you're a
too.
people person, but you're still um, tactful. But customer service honestly is a skill. I will tell anybody. I don't
Baby.
think like it's a skill, and
I
a lot of people don't have it.
and a lot of people don't. I've seen horror stories. So I've seen young ladies get on the phone after inhaling helium and talk on.
Oh my gosh! So
I,
their voices can sound.
I've seen I've seen people hang up on people for no apparent
Yeah,
reason. Call
definitely.
back. I've seen people bounce calls. Like I worked in customer service about 13 years,
Yes.
and I was the coordinator, then the supervisor, and then the manager. So my team, I had a customer service aspect to some of my team members. And we were dealing with providers. And providers can be a whole different type of people.
Hmm.
So because they're
Definitely.
educated for one,
Yes.
and yeah, and they're very different. I love my doctor friends.
Yes, because in my main job, I'm in international logistics, so it's not regular customer service either. We're
Mm,
dealing with shippers and importers and people who have thousands and $1 million shipments coming in.
mm.
Like this is money. This is their
This is
money.
real money. Yeah, 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 exactly. Exactly. Because in my case, the providers were calling because they didn't get their money, right?
Yes,
And so yeah, so hey, same thing.
definitely.
And so, like you said, a skill set, having soft skills and knowing what to say and when to say it is
Hmm.
everything. And it is
Yes,
not a natural skill. It is taught for the most
yes,
part. But you have to have some kind of honest on you to say, this is what I want to do. I want to talk to people all day. Because the
yes.
worst thing you can have is somebody who doesn't like to be on the phone, responsible for being on the phone.
So true. And when I got, like I said, when I got started in 2014, it remote work was around, but it wasn't as popular as it became like 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And if you weren't tech, the easiest way to get into remote work other than tech was customer service. So that
Mm-hmm.
was the way I got started. I was doing roadside assistance when I first got started. So Yeah, it was, but it was at that time, me being a single mom, it was the best and only option
Mm,
because, oh my gosh, daycare, expensive, and trying to
yep,
find a sitter. And I just went down this path of like, okay, I want to work from home.
mhm.
It's possible. I've seen other people do it. Where do I go? And so that's how I got
Absolutely.
started. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so now you're helping people start their businesses at home from work from home, remote work.
Well, there's two parts. I do help people start their own virtual call center, but I'm transitioning that business. I started that in 2015 and I did it up until 2020. And a lot of people have gotten into it. And so I'm looking to transition that business.
Okay.
But since I've turned my business, I've not turned. I've added an additional part to my business where I help people find legit remote jobs. 2020, like I say, remote work burst onto the scenes. A lot of companies had to send workers home. And so,
Mm,
of course, in that, here comes the scammers. And I
baby.
had so many people coming to me and they were finding all of these. I've had ladies who've been scammed out of thousands of dollars before that have come to me for help. And so I pivoted my business. That's the word I'm trying to use. I pivoted into helping people find legit remote jobs. And in that, within any business, if you're a business owner, pay attention to what your audience or your clients are asking. Because in that, people started asking about resume,
Mm,
and that evolved into going to get training and certifications for resume writing, and furthering that, people needed help with interview with, okay, you've helped me with the resume now. So it evolved. So now I have a career consulting agency where I
okay.
specialize with helping people find remote jobs.
So not only are you helping them to find them, you're actually helping them to apply for them and to
Yes.
prep them, get them ready in the front end.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
like
And
that.
even
I like
and
that.
even further than that, I'm really big on upskilling and
Mhm.
always looking to grow and build. So even working with them after they've gotten it to see, okay, how can you move up? I actually, after I started working on my own career, I've received numerous awards with the company I work for, and I've gotten three promotions in the past 6 years.
Oh, wonderful.
So I had to learn myself, your business, you're always your first client in my eyes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you haven't done it for yourself, how can you help me do it? And
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
I had to look, okay, where am I now? Where am I headed? And what are the steps, actually build a career and not just work at a job. That's
Absolutely. That career path. So I got that job in 1986 and I started at an entry level. I started as a claims processor. And then from claims processor, I became a team leader. From team leader, I became a facilitator in training, working with the HR department. And then from there, I became the consultant for customer service, and then a supervisor, and then a manager. And so I went up the career ladder, right? Because back then, career pathing wasn't even a buzzword, but it is now. You have to intentionally think about, what do I want to do to make money? Like,
mm-hmm.
how do I want to live and have and sustain the life that I want to live, right?
Yes.
And so I worked on that position, that company for 26 years. And when they implemented Obamacare, they cut staff because a part of Obamacare was they wanted insurance companies to pay more out in benefits than they were paying in administration. And so that company chose to remove 100 workers, and I was one of the 100. And so I sat and thought about that for a month, thinking, okay, that is traumatic. I just went through. But how do I create something that allows me to live the way I want to live, so that I'm not one signature away from having a totally different life? And I think what you're
So,
offering is that. I think that
yes.
teaching people how to work from home, teaching people how to get remote work jobs that are reputable, first of all, because the scammers are out here. Oh boy, the
Are
scammers.
real.
Oh, they out here and they're real. I challenge them, so they have to use their best technology.
You said come with it.
Yeah, I'm like, bring it on, because they are forever telling me that my Facebook page. So they sent me an inbox that my Facebook page had did some kind of fraudulent act, and I'm like, this is not Meta, because your email said Facebook. They don't even call themselves Facebook. They call themselves
Right.
Meta. First of all, and then they sent me another one just like that one and changed the name to Meta.
Ah, they took your advice.
So I'm coaching criminals now. I mean,
But think of the number of people that don't even know that small thing to be able to decipher.
and I post them. And so I post them anytime they come for me. I post them because I make them use their tools. Like, you got to come good for me. I'm not gonna
I
fall
love
for you,
it.
but you still got to come good. And
I
so
love it.
I'm like, they don't even send me. I was like, good thing I don't. I posted one of the inbox things and said, good thing I understand that they sent things to me via email. I started
Yeah.
getting emails, but it still had mistakes and everything else in it. And I know how Meta communicates with me, and I know what the email address should look like. Like, I talked to them. I actually had a marketing coach for 2 years from Meta that contacted me every week. So
So
we
you
have a
familiar.
relationship.
Hmm.
I told them you have to use your best tools. I've been doing this thing for a minute, but yeah, but scammers are everywhere. Hackers are everywhere, and that's why it's important for anyone wanting to do a remote work from home, a remote job, work from home job, that they connect with someone like you who's reputable, first of all, who has the experience, and who can get them to someone that's reputable as well.
Yes, definitely. And as you just mentioned, there were so many, like you were mentioning your situation where you were building with a company for over 20 years, and
Hmm.
one day they decide we no longer need you. It was so many people that went through that top of the year, even ladies that I knew personally that went through that.
Hmm.
And that's why it is so important. You never know the you never know what's going to happen.
That's it.
I could log in tomorrow and maybe, it may be my last day.
Yeah.
My company, the company I work for, we went through a scare, and everyone was calling and they were like, hey, you heard about what's going on? You heard about what's going on? Linda, and I'm saying this so honestly, it was not 1 second or day I was scared, because I know with what I'm doing, I'm prepared. And one
Absolutely.
thing, you can take my job and you probably could take my paycheck. One thing you can't take my skills. Can't take my qualifications. You can't take my certifications, the things that have my name on them.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can't
yeah.
take it. And so you just what we have to do is you have to stay prepared.
You
Get
have to prepare.
prepared and stay prepared.
That is the whole thing. I spoke at a book festival yesterday, and I was telling this young man, I said, I was telling him my life story. And I told him, I started my business because I lost my 26-year career, right? And so I told him, but the thing about it is I had already started working on my degrees. I had already started making connections with people. All I did when they told me I could no longer work there, after I dealt with the trauma, because it's important to
Yeah,
deal with the trauma. So after I
definitely.
dealt with the trauma, I sit back and say, okay, now what do I do with these 26 years? Because
Mhm.
I refuse to lose all the skill set and all the talents that I had acquired while working with them, right? And so my whole business model was built off of skills that I learned in corporate America.
Definitely. Definitely.
I learned how to complete RFPs. That's why I can tell my business owners how to complete them, because I used to complete them for the company. I
Yes.
learned resumes like you because people were coming to me, the young people were coming to me, and they were like, Miss Linda, you're going on up the ladder. Help me go up the ladder too.
Hmm.
And we would have these conversations, and I would give them resumes.
Yes.
Like, the business plan deal, I had the folks that was in the food court. I would have conversations with them, and he was like, well, yeah, I'm trying to get some buses so I can start doing some trips on the weekends when the restaurant wasn't open. I was like, well, let me write that business plan for you. So when I sat down and start doing the things that I knew how to do, I could do
Mhm.
resumes, I can do business plans, because I learned how to do it with them. And
Yeah.
so repurposing those skill sets, like, thank you for your training. And they were my biggest investor, because those checks
Mhm.
went toward building my business.
I'm telling
And
you.
I'm in year number 10.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
so yes, ma'am. So it does work. And so
It
that's the thing
does.
is you have to start thinking forward, because all of us are one signature. If 100% of your income comes from a second party,
Yes.
you're one signature from having a very different life. One
One.
signature. And so
Mhm.
you have to start thinking about what happens if I log in tomorrow and I'm unable to get in. What
Yes.
happens?
And so many people feel as if when I'm meeting with people and I'm working on their resumes or we're talking about their career, they feel as if I have not uh, if I didn't do the task or skill or job at a particular job where they were paying me, then I don't have that skill. You have skills you've done. Like, we talked about this last week in my group. You have skills you've done within your family. Do you plan your annual trips? Do you plan your annual family reunion? You probably have some project management or some project coordinator skills.
Absolutely.
What do you do at your church or in your local communities? A lot of times we have skills that are non-paid skills, um,
Absolutely.
that we
Volunteerism
know how to
counts.
do.
Volunteerism counts. And when I'm talking to these business owners, especially my nonprofits, right? Because in order for them to get funding, they have to show that they've done some work. And they may have done the work prior to forming their nonprofit. But
Mhm.
then we start talking about, I tell them, when you're deep involved in church, like I've been most of my life,
Yes.
you get these certificates of attendance. And I throw them away and put them away. I said, but here's where you can get credit for. When you're in the nonprofit world, you're trying to get grant money. You can actually
Yes.
get credit for all those participation things you did with the church. I had
Yes.
a young mother, who, she was a stay-at-home mom, and she's when her son got, I think he was in the fifth grade, she decided to get in the working, get in the work in the industry, the marketplace, and we created her resume off of all the volunteer work she had done,
Mhm. Yes.
and she got an executive assistant's position,
Yes.
making $25 an hour.
Mhm.
And I'm like, and she said, they say if I'm good, they're gonna give me a raise in 30 days. I'll be making $35 an hour.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I love it.
About but that's what we're talking about. Like, they don't see that the things that they were doing in volunteer, they think if they're not paid for it, that it doesn't count.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
they have skill sets, and the right resume writer can pull that out of you.
Mhm. Yes, and that's important, resume writer. I actually invested in my resume writing. Over
Mm,
these past 6 months, I have joined a resume writing association.
yeah.
I've been taking to become certified. That's one thing we miss. We want the big dollars,
Hmm.
and including myself. I'm like, okay, I want to make 80,000, 100,000 a year,
Hey,
or one
hey,
fifty a year. Okay, but what skill we really have to, that's that self accountability again thing. Okay, where am I? Do I have the skill sets to produce this? If I don't, let me get this, because I'm writing resumes in the beginning because I read my own, and someone's like, "Oh, you've written your own. Let me write. Can you write mine?"
mm,
Once I started doing it and I hadn't had just professional training, it's like, okay, are you writing a resume, or are you just going in and
doing
adjusting
something.
a resume or updating it, or are
Yeah,
you really writing it? And so
absolutely.
it's a big difference with
And it makes
resume
right.
writing.
And it makes you need to know what kind of jobs they're trying to go for. So it's important to
Yes.
have a job description. You need to know, what your skill set was that's applicable to that job that you're trying to
Hmm.
go after. Because when I first started writing resumes, you just put everything out there. You put
You do.
everything you ever did in life, right? But the
And that's a
resume
no-no.
game has changed. No, yeah, I don't want to read all that. You have 4 seconds to get their attention. You're going in a garbage can, or they have those automatic readers that's just going to kick you out anyway.
The applicant tracking system, the
Absolutely.
ATS system, and that's why I tell people, they'll come and they're so upset and they think the job market is against them, and they think people are gatekeeping
Yeah,
remote jobs, because no, you're applying to a job, and you're applying to it with a resume that doesn't list any of the skill sets that this company is looking for.
exactly.
Companies are looking for skill sets now, and they're looking for your achievements, what it is you can bring to the table,
Exactly.
and you have to highlight that really well in your resume to
Exactly.
get accepted.
Yeah. because it's not, I had one of my girls, one of the young ladies, her mom was just telling me yesterday. She said, because I asked her, I said, well, did your daughter, because I just did a resume recently, and I said, did your daughter get an interview? Because here's the thing, I promised them they'll get interviews.
That's
Now,
it.
whether you get the job or not,
That's
the
it.
resume's job is one thing. Get the interview. That's it.
Exactly.
It's not
Yes.
to get you the job, it's to get you the interview. You determine whether you get the job or not.
Mm-hmm.
But the resume is designed to garner interest. And so, I asked her mom, she's coming out of manufacturing, wanting to go to customer service.
Yes.
And I asked her mother, I said, well, tell me what she's done. And I took and rewrote it based on where she says she wants to go.
Mm-hmm.
And she got a job.
Exactly.
And her
That's
mom was
it.
like, well, she didn't get it in the field, the customer service field, but she did get in. And that's the thing, you want to get in.
That's it.
Because once you get in, you can go wherever you need to go
You
by simply
can.
showing them that you have that skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Definitely. And the good thing about remote work, Linda,
mm-hmm,
is especially with 1099, there's a difference with
mm.
the W-2 and the 1099.
Yeah,
Some of
explain
the
that.
1099, some of them you don't even need. There's some companies you don't even need a resume for.
Mm.
Now, there's stipulations and there's things around 1099 that a lot of people, I would suggest setting up a session with me so I can break that down if you're on here and you're interested in it. But there are some 1099 contract positions where you don't need the resume. You can contract jobs, but you have to be skill specific when it comes to these jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. 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 I agree with you. And so, yeah. Yeah.
She
I
said, yeah,
heard you. Congratulations to me.
yes,
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
yes,
But understanding, understand the difference between a W-2 employee, which most people are,
yes.
they come from a world of W-2 and then get into a 1099, which has a whole different set of responsibilities. That's a whole different vibe. But understanding which of those best meet your needs and which of
Definitely.
those that you are able to manage based on your lifestyle,
Hmm.
right? So yeah,
Definitely.
that is worth that is definitely worth that is definitely worth the conversation. It's just
Yeah.
learning, the difference in the different types of work that's out there for
Mhm.
people that want to get to work remotely and then not get taken everywhere. Every group I go in, just about, there's somebody saying, I need 13 people, $25 an hour to answer the phone. And it's a scam.
No experience, start tomorrow.
Yes.
No background check.
Lord, these people, these people. And I'm like, does your mama know what you do?
And what do you see in the comments? Everybody, me, me,
Me,
me.
me, me, because they think it's real. See, I could do a whole class on how to identify a Facebook scammer.
I'm
'Cause
telling you,
I'm telling you, because they use their best stuff for me. They use
I tell my people, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably
it
is.
probably is. More
It,
than likely it is.
more than like if they're saying no experience, no training, start tomorrow, I'm almost sure it's a scam
Making
because
25 making $25 an hour. And there was an article on even LinkedIn where people were going and it looked legit. And they actually had conversations with people
yes.
and were getting scammed on
Hmm.
LinkedIn, where they were getting scammed. People thinking they were applying for jobs and was so excited. Somebody I know, one of my followers, say, I am so heartbroken. My son just knew he was prepared to fly out and start this new job. He had just graduated this summer, and he was all excited, ready to fly out and go to this new job, only to learn he had been scammed. And he had
Yes.
sent them money. You shouldn't have to pay money to go to work.
To work from home, no. Now there are two stipulations around that. Sometimes with the 1099 companies, and yeah, with the 1099 contract companies, they'll require you to sometimes they'll require you to pay your own background fee.
But that's that,
Um,
that that's minimal. That's
mhm.
not
And it's
sending
like
you
ten
thousands.
to twenty
Exactly,
dollars maybe.
exactly, and that's the difference.
Mhm.
It's minimal. It's not
Yeah.
send me a green dot card with
Yeah.
$600.
They'll either add that or they'll ask you to transfer money. And I even had one of my customers that came to me. They got her and this was off of Indeed. She went to a Zoom. They had a Zoom where they went all in about this great opportunity to work remote. They sent her a check in the mail and told her that the
Oh
check was to
no.
purchase her equipment.
Oh
That check was
no.
for $3,000,
Oh no.
Linda. Three, and
Oh no.
she deposited that check, and
Oh
they got
no.
three
You
thousand
deposit a
dollars.
check, the check's gonna bounce, and
Yes,
then
she's
if
in the
you
negative.
you got to pay that $3,000 back, and plus you have to pay that insufficient funds that goes with that check. And
Yes.
and I hope she didn't do like a lot of what they do is say, well, we're gonna send you 10,000. You take 3,000 to go buy your equipment, and you send us back the 7. And then people are getting scammed because they get these checks. They get excited to see a check with their name on it.
Mhm.
They go straight to the bank with it, and then they
Yes,
find out it's not a check at all.
yes. When she came to me, it had just happened, and she was like, "Oh
Oh,
my gosh, I would have wish I had found you a couple weeks
oh,
back." And she told me what happened, and
oh.
my heart just was like, "Oh my
I
gosh,
know
three
it. I
thousand
know
dollars."
it. I know it. It's sad, but it's out here. Anything that you can think of, any way that they can jump on people's. And I hate saying greed, but even need, right? Even if it's not greed, it's a need.
Yeah.
Any way they think that they can make money off of people's desires and needs, these people out here are vicious, and they don't even care. They don't even care. I tell you what I did one time. I got mad when I was talking to a scammer, and I was, texting him. I said, I curse you and your whole family. I was talking to people in different countries, and they take that kind of stuff serious.
Oh.
He would he oh when he he became very upset with me. And he tried his best. He tried everything he could. He was gonna hack me. I mean, he was trying to get my emails hacked down. He was trying everything he could to shut me down. He said, "You put a curse on my family," and I'm thinking,
Oh.
"But what was your family when you trying to hack me?" You
They,
know?
they look, the scammers look at their, look what I want to call them, their,
Business practices and
yeah,
being legit.
they, but we're numbers to them. It's
Yeah.
like, how many people can I get today? Because I gotta, they may have metrics themselves. When we're talking about
Yep.
productivity and metrics, they may have metrics.
I saw this movie about Nigeria. And this guy, his job was to go to this office every day, and he would type up that email that you get, that I'm a king, and I need you to go to the bank to help me get my money. That was his
Oh,
job. That was his job.
oh,
Like, he was reporting to
and
work.
I'm sure he had metrics. Yes. Yes, but we yes, one of the first resources I created when I started my business, my consulting business. One of the first resources was a guide, which I still have now as a freebie on my link tree.
Okay.
Is a guide that gives people some tips to help them avoid scammers. So that's
So for no
actually,
other reason, they need to contact you. If they are looking at working remotely, they need to contact you to get that guide
yes,
and have a conversation with you so they
and
can get
yes, and I'm
the
doing
legitimate jobs instead of these scammers and hackers out here just wearing us all out. They just wearing us out.
yes. And there's when people contact me and they come to me, there's three different types of people who usually come. There's the person who just wants to work remote. They don't care. They don't care what type of job it is. They just want to work from home. So
Mhm.
we have to start there and say, okay, let's break this down. What are you looking for? What's your skill set? You have to um, be laser focused and tailored to a job title or position,
Right.
at least an industry. Are you going medical? Are
Yeah,
you going
yeah,
HR? What are you doing?
yeah.
And then there's the people that come to you where they know exactly what their experience is, what they're looking for. They just need help finding it. They need the
Mm.
search, where to look,
Mm.
And then, you have that person that feels like they have it all together, but they've been applying, they can't find anything,
It's
so
not working.
it's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not working.
So
Yeah.
I have a process that I take all through. I've narrowed that down where I take everyone through it, and everyone has their aha moments in the different phases. But one thing I noticed, Linda, everyone, even though we're joking about,
Something happened to the speaker. There.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry.
No
Um,
problem.
I'm sorry. Lost my train of thought.
One thing that you've noticed that everyone has their.
I'm so sorry. Someone
That's
called me.
okay.
Um,
That
I
is.
was speaking. I was speaking on everyone that comes to me when they are looking for a remote job, they all have their aha moments when they're going through the process
Mm-hmm.
because um, what were you going to ask me? Because I lost my total
And
train
that's
of thought.
it happens. Look, and that's the thing about filming live, right? Because you get to see it all.
I
Some
know
days I get
we are
choked up
definitely
in
human. We are human. Yes.
absolutely. The human side shows big and in different. So give me the takeaway you want the people watching this video to take. What one takeaway would you like them to take away from this interview?
The one takeaway I want everyone, because remote work is such it's a big deal right now. A lot of people are looking to work remote. One thing about me, I'm for one, I'm not a scammer. So when you come to me,
I
I'm
was
I'm
I
real
got a
and
taste of that.
I'm real and I'm authentically going to tell you what I think. And that's why I love to do strategy sessions because I get to ask questions,
Mhm.
converse, figure out where you are, your personality type, your skill set. And I'm going to give you my honest advice. So, one thing I want people to take away is just start thinking about we all see where the world is going, we know what's going on. It's certain things we can't prevent, but one thing I want everyone to do is to get prepared. And by
Mm,
that, everyone's preparedness is different depending on where you are in
absolutely.
your career or where you are in your life. Just start getting a few steps ahead. If you can't get one step ahead, 5 steps, 10 steps, just and half an inch. Let's just try to get a little ahead. Think about where you are. Think about where you want to go. And if you aren't sure, schedule strategy session with me. Let's work it out.
I love it.
Get with someone, not even if it's just me, get with someone because in
Absolutely.
every area of our life, we need coaches, we need mentors, we need leaders. And your career is no different than your
Absolutely.
spiritual, going to church, if you see a psychiatrist, your mental health, your health, physical health, if you go to a trainer at the gym. So get with someone that can help you guide your career so you can at least stay a few steps ahead for those unexpected moments
I
that happen.
love that. And I'm a witness that they do happen. So after I lost my position at that job for 26 years, after I lost that position, I went to work for a hospital and I'd be darned if I didn't get laid off there too.
Yeah.
And that was the point when I decided to be a full-time entrepreneur. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to grow and do if I keep getting laid off. And the market shows that if you're 50 and over, like I did an interview with CNBC, and the market shows the data shows that if you're over 50, that your chances you have a 75% chance of having an income disruption.
Yes.
So it behooves someone 50 and over to start thinking about what if I lost my job tomorrow? Like how can I become more independent than dependent?
Hmm.
Because a lot of people from where I come from only have one source of income and it's that job.
Yes.
And they think they're going to retire from that job. But I'm here to tell you, it can change overnight and your whole life can change overnight if you are not, like you said, being prepared, right? And the whole part of that is preparation meets opportunity. That's called success.
It
And
is
so
nothing but.
you have to be prepared. You have to be thinking about what is my next step, or where do I want to be in 5 years? Like, that's a real question. They ask you that in interviews, but it's a real question. You should be
It
thinking.
is.
You should be. I love forward thinking people. I love forward thinking people because they're
Mhm.
not. They ask. There's a hockey player. His name is Wayne Gretzky, and they asked him. I mean, he's a great hockey player. They asked him. They said, how are you so successful? He said, well, I always look to be where I think the hockey's going. So I'm never playing the position I'm in. I'm always playing the position where I think the puck is going, and I want to be there. And so that's
Yes,
what I do. He said that's been the whole catalyst for him being successful in hockey is he thinks ahead. He thinks of where
definitely.
it's going to be. That's what we have to do if we're in the marketplace, and if we're relying on other people to support us and to keep us working. Like, it's not their job to keep you working.
Mm-mm. One income is too close to none.
Yeah, I know. Woo!
I
You said a
always
whole
say
word,
that.
girl. Yeah,
One income is too close to
you're
nothing.
you're actually one signature away from nothing.
You are.
You're one signature, one pink slip away from nothing. You need to think about how you're going to do it. And we were talking about earlier, before I close, we were talking about earlier about generational wealth, right?
Hmm.
And so, how do we pass wealth on to our young people? And how do we teach our young people how to create wealth for themselves? You have to be the example.
Oh, that's so true. I was telling my friend, and I know you're ready to close, but I'll mention this really
No,
quick.
go ahead. You're fine.
We, we as parents, we will ask our kids to do things that we are not doing.
Oh, oh.
And you will ask your kid to clean up, but they don't see you cleaning up. And
Mm.
then you're chastising them and you're fussing at them about cleaning up, but they don't see you doing it. Our kids are not gonna do what we say. They're gonna do what they see
I
us
know
doing.
it. I know it.
And
And
so when you spoke on that, that was something that me and one of my friends, we actually had a conversation about that. So building wealth, it has to start with us, and we have to think it's never too late. It's never too late to change. It's never too late to grow. Don't feel like because you are in your 40s, 50s, don't be so tied to a job that if it ends, that means your world ends. No, take that model from Linda, where she said it happened to her twice. She picked up and say, "Hey,
girl,
I'm moving
hey,
forward.
you know what? I
I'm moving forward."
refuse to allow. At the first time I got laid off, in me it said you have to take control of your financial health, because they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about them. And so I had to think about me. Like, if I'm thinking about them and they thinking about them, who's thinking about me? And
Mhm.
so and I have three boys. My boys are all grown. Like, my oldest is 49, my middle one will be 39, and my youngest is 34. And I wanted to show them. So I went back to school. My MBA, the ink just dried on it. I just got it in 2017. Like, I'm still trying to get education.
Mhm.
Cornell University, I just did that in 2023.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, in 2022. I just finished that 2022 in February. Like, I'm still trying to educate and still trying to stay relevant. I have that PMP on my name, but I've had that PMP since 2020, 2012.
Yes.
And so, but every year I have to redo it. Every three
Mhm.
years you have to recertify. So
Yes.
certifications, even if you don't have the bandwidth to do the whole schooling thing, there are certifications out here you can qualify for. There's so
Yes.
many things you can do.
It
Just keeping
is.
yourself relevant, keeping yourself educated, and always, always, always honing your skills. I was telling you that it was a joy to me. I had been saving, I had a little monkey bank that I've been putting money in since my great grandson was born. And he's 9 now, and I got the opportunity to give it to him. And he was like, "Oh, this is heavy," you know.
Yes.
But that did my heart good, because for 9 years
Definitely.
I've been saving for him. So
Yes.
yeah, so
I started my daughter a stock account, which we were
yeah.
talking about generational wealth. That's one of
Yeah.
the things I did for her. She has whole life insurance that's
Mm.
building cash value that I've had for her since she was a baby. And the past 3 years, I started. So when she got the kids, we got into Robux, or whatever it is. When she started wanting to spend her money, I started buying shares in
Yeah.
Roblox. We have Apple shares, and these are
Yeah.
hers. I bought
Yeah.
them for her. And so,
Absolutely. And that's the thing is teaching them about, I mean, so it doesn't matter what level you're doing it at, do
yes.
it. Like think about your kids and your grandkids, and even my case, your great grandkids. Like think about
Hmm.
how you can, because I was mentored by Steve Harvey for a while, and Steve Harvey told me that he had a case where one of his friends helped his granddaddy or somebody was dying, and he said, "Do you know the guy that was dying?" Would say, "Well, do you know your great grandkids won't even know who you are, and if you don't leave them anything, they won't even know you. Your own descendants won't know you."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Wow."
Yeah.
Like they need to know I've been here. I'm making
Hmm.
noise. That's why I'm making noise. Because my great grandson's son or daughter will know my name. They're gonna
Yes.
know me.
Hmm.
And you control
That
that.
says so much. That
Yeah,
yeah.
you control that though. You have the
Yeah.
opportunity to control that. So this has been wonderful. I'm
It
gonna cut us
has.
off, but this has been great. I have enjoyed this. This hour went so fast.
It did.
My
It
name is
did.
Linda Murray Bullard. They call me the business plug. And this evening, the I have plugged you into the remote work strategist. And her name is Kiba. Reach out to her. Her information is wherever you're viewing this. Go ahead and like and share, and also click the bell in order to find the notifications. I come on every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And these are business conversations for business people. And I hope you'll join me next Sunday. So until next Sunday, you all have a great week. I'll see
All
you
right,
on the
everyone.
Business Plugs Mixer. Have a great week. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.